Hello, my name is Frank Christensen and I'm the coordinator of officials for IFAF Europe. In today's training tape, we're looking at dead ball action that is either personal foul or a contact unsportsmanlike conduct. So we'll look at some examples and then we'll discuss when is it a personal foul, when is it an unsportsmanlike conduct, and how can we tell them apart. But before we get to the game film, let's have a look to see what the rulebook and the MOFO have to say on this topic. In the rulebook, initially we're looking in Rule 2.10.2, definition of personal foul. Personal foul is a foul involving illegal physical contact that endangers the safety of another player. In 9.1.12, it says no player shall tackle or run into a receiver when a forward pass to him obviously is not catchable. This is a personal foul and not pass interference. 9.1.17, there shall be no piling on, falling on, or throwing the body on an opponent after the ball becomes dead. And B says no opponent shall tackle or block the ball carrier or simulated ball carrier when he is clearly out of bounds, or throw him to the ground after the ball becomes dead. And unnecessary roughness, as opposed to late hits, is an act that occurs well away from the play may be classed as a personal foul even though the act itself is legal. In other words, it is the location of the players with respect to the play that causes the foul, not the legality of the contact. And then as a comparison, unsportsmanlike act. There shall be no unsportsmanlike conduct or any act that interferes with orderly game administration on the part of players, substitutes, coaches, authorized attendants, or any other persons subject to the rules before the game, during game, or between periods. And the one really that is relevant for this training tape is specifically prohibited acts include dead ball contact fouls such as pushing, shoving, striking, etc. that occur clearly after the ball is dead and that are not part of the game action. In the MOFO, we get a little help in that it says other points regarding unsportsmanlike conduct. If in doubt whether an unsportsmanlike conduct foul occurred while the ball was live or dead, it was dead. So basically what we have to do here when we're looking at is this a personal foul or an unsportsmanlike conduct, we have to ask ourselves two questions. The first one is, was the action live ball or dead ball? If it's live ball, then all we have left is unnecessary roughness or late hit. If it's dead ball, then we can move on, advance to question number 2. And that is, was it football related? Again, if the answer to this question is yes, then we have to go with unnecessary roughness or late hit. And if the answer is no, then we start looking at unsportsmanlike conduct. So basically, it has to be dead ball, and it has to be non-football related for us to call it as an unsportsmanlike conduct. So that was the theory. Now let's have a look at some real live examples in the game film. On these first couple of plays, we're going to get stuck on the first question. So here we have action right behind the runner, pretty much right there on the 38-yard line. You see the white player down, which is behind the runner. But this happens, before the ball dies. Now, philosophy tells us if we have doubts whether the ball is dead or not, then the ball is dead, which changes a few things. It makes it easier penalty enforcement wise, and it isolates the foul. But here, if we say, and I think we can, that this happens while the ball is live, then we don't even get to the second question of whether this was football related or not, because if it's a live ball, then all we have is potentially an unnecessary roughness, which I think we could have in this situation. On the second play, we're looking at the linesman keys of the slot back to the top of the formation, and he's going to go out and get contacted there. Now, whether this is anything at all, I don't think it is, but it certainly happens while the ball is alive. So this ends up being called as an unsportsmanlike conduct incorrectly. And if the crew here, if we had been better at using the questions, we probably would have had a better outcome here, because question number one, is this live ball or dead ball? I think it's very, very clear to say yes. Then unsportsmanlike conduct, at least the contact type unsportsmanlike conduct goes out the window, so all you have left is an unnecessary roughness or potential for it, and I don't even think we have that here. So remember, question number one, is it live ball or dead ball? We're now moving on to the dead ball situations, and now it gets a little bit more interesting because we get to go to question number two. So we're looking at the inside receiver here, closer to the screen, A15. And what we'll see, the running back gets tackled right there in the backfield, and A15 then takes some extra steps, and then he does that. Now, certainly a foul. So the question one, is it a live ball foul? No. Is this football related? And I think here we say yes. So we got one of the questions right. The second question does not apply. So here this is not. This is a football related act. So if we want to call this, we have to call this as an unnecessary roughness, not as an unsportsmanlike conduct. We continue with the dead ball situations. Now we just have to deal with, is it football related or not? And here I think since the quarterback stops here, now the defender also needs to know that there is no play, and he continues. But he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He is going after the quarterback, so this is a football related act. And we'll get back to some non-football related, but as long as the player is doing what he was supposed to be doing, it's very difficult to say that it is not football related. It would have to be much later than here, but certainly enough for a personal foul late hit. On this play, we're looking at the near tackle, A72, and we're beginning to see a pattern here. It happens after the ball is dead, and then he comes in and cleans out the defender who's just standing there. But really, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. His timing is just off. So it's a dead ball, football-related act because he's doing his job. It's just late. So again, it is dead ball, yes, but it is football related. So our only recourse here is an unnecessary roughness, not an unsportsmanlike conduct. On this play, we're looking at the tackle, the right tackle, the near tackle. He's going to come around, and then he's going to lead block all the way into the end zone, and as it turns out right there, too far into the end zone. Maybe not the best angle, but here when the block happens, you see the running back has already stopped. The deep wing is already signaling touchdown, so this is quite a ways into the end zone. But again, it is what he's supposed to be doing. He just does it too late. So again, we cannot go unsportsmanlike conduct, but we certainly could go unnecessary roughness on this one. Another thing on this play is that the communication takes a while. So we've got a foul, a dead ball foul after the touchdown. So we're looking at how we communicate this and how we communicate this with the coaches, and it's just a reminder for the line of scrimmage or the sideline officials at least to recognize this quickly and get to the coaches and get get their options. Now, most often, most teams will take this on the kickoff. So that could be, if you wanted to, that could be your default mode, and say, well, we're going to enforce it on the kickoff. And then if the coach wants it on the extra point, he can come in and tell us that. But just make sure that you are as a sideline official aware of this, so that we get communication to the coaches quickly, so that we can get communication from the coaches just as quickly. On this play, we're looking at the defensive tackle nearest to the screen here, B44, and he's going to believe that the ball is intercepted, so he's going to make a block there. Now, the ball ends up being incomplete, but in his mind, it is intercepted, so his job now becomes to block. So the question becomes, is it still a football act when it happens 30-35 yards away from the ball? And the philosophy is, had this become an interception and a run back, then this would not be a foul. So and it happens close enough to where the ball dies that this would still be considered a football act. Now, if you want to go with a foul, and I think you could here, and the center judge does, you would have to go with an unnecessary roughness again, and not an unsportsmanlike conduct, even though this is 35 yards away from the play. On this one, we're looking at the middle linebacker, B50. And right after the interception ends, he comes in and lays out this defender or offensive player, and it's clearly late. But again, this is what he is supposed to be doing during this play. So just the fact that it happens slightly after the play does not make it an unsportsmanlike conduct. This is an unnecessary roughness, dead ball foul. It would have to happen much later after the play ends before we can start considering this being an unsportsmanlike conduct, and we'll get the same kind of feeling from the end zone shot. So here's the end zone shot, and here we get a good view of what number 50 does and the timing of it. Because there's Ballstead, and here he comes and hits the defender, or hits the offensive player, the teammate player, and it's clearly late. But again, it is what he was supposed to be doing. So we're going to go with unnecessary roughness and not unsportsmanlike conduct. On these last two plays, we're going to go all the way, so to speak, in that we can say no to both questions. Was it live ball? No. Was it football related? No. And these last two examples will illustrate what we're talking about here. We're going to look at the receiver on the right side of the screen. He's going to make a block, which is probably fine. We can't tell if this is a blind side or anything like that, but it is from the side, and here he goes with the block, and then he does right there. That is certainly not necessary. It's certainly not football related. So now we get into, he's supposed to be blocking. He does block here. Whether the block is in itself is legal or not is not the question. But this part right here is not football related. It's certainly not something that he needs to be doing. So now we can say, was it a live ball foul? No. Was it football related? No. Now we can go unsportsmanlike conduct. In this last play, we're looking at the far defensive tackle. So of the four defensive down linemen, we're looking at number 3 from this angle, and just follow him and what he does on this touchdown play. And keep in mind, he is a defensive player, so his job is to go after the runner. And here, boom, he lays out this receiver clearly after the runner is in. I mean, the runner is in um, pretty much now. Uh, right, the runner's number 13, and he's well into the end zone. And 62 is not even going after the runner. He just finds somebody to hit. So he is. Is it live ball? No. Is it a football act in the sense that is that what he's supposed to be doing here? No. So we get no twice, which means now we can start looking at unsportsmanlike conduct instead of unnecessary roughness. And 81 is even slowing up, so he's not in the play anymore. And this is just a frustration, cheap shot, where the defender should be going for the ball carrier. Here he just finds somebody to level, and he does it well after the play is over. So this could certainly be and should be called as an unsportsmanlike conduct. That was the training tape. I hope it made sense. I hope it was possible to see the different kinds of fouls, and I hope you found something you can use on the field.